a truly sustainable industry in Africa will be one that practices sustainability to the core, not just by mouth or not just because it is trendy or that's the buzzword.
Hi, fashion lovers and change makers. Welcome to another inspiring episode of The Green Shift. I'm your host, Comfort Apeh Francis. Today, we are stepping into the colorful, creative, and conscious world of green fashion, a movement redefining what it means to look good and do good for the planet. Fast fashion is costing our environment millions of tons of waste and emissions every year, but across Africa, designers and creators are leading a quiet revolution, one made of upcycled fabrics, timeless style, and sustainable choices. Joining me today are two incredible women who are shaping this transformation in their own unique ways. Our first guest is Ikeoluwa Adebisi, a multidisciplinary fashion professional with 7 years of experience in design, entrepreneurship, marketing, and sustainable advocacy. She's a former research fellow at the Council for International African Fashion Education, a 2023 Next Gen General Assembly member at the Global Fashion Agenda, and the founder of UpTote, an initiative that upcycles pre-consumer textile waste into beautiful functional accessories. She also runs UpNetwork, a community for sustainable and circular fashion professionals across Africa. Ikeoluwa, welcome to The Green Shift.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for joining us. Also joining us as well is Ada Ohaka, a creative storyteller, mom, wife, and a slow fashion creator who uses digital content to inspire mindful consumption. Ada is also a content marketer and a customer experience manager, blending business insights with personal authenticity. Through her work, Ada shows that sustainable fashion isn't just for the runways, it's also for real people and everyday life. Ada, welcome to The Green Shift.
Hi, thank you for having me.
We are happy to have you here too. So let's start big. The global fashion industry is one of the top polluters in the world. Ikeoluwa, from your experience in research and advocacy, what's the real cost of fast fashion, especially for Africa?
Okay, great question. So, people get surprised when they hear that the global fashion industry is like the second or the third most polluting industry in the world. But I don't think it's surprising considering the fact that we all wear clothes and we all own more than two clothes. I mean, at least we own more than two clothes. So just imagine like 8 billion people wearing multiple clothing. Of course, that would constitute pollution if it's not done properly. So something that is common to us here that we see very much here in Africa is waste, which is a byproduct of buying too many clothes, not wearing them for a long time, and then just throwing them away. But then just the idea of wearing clothes for a few maybe like one or two times, which is fast fashion, basically, wearing by producing clothes um, and wearing them for maybe a couple of times, throwing them away and repeating the process. You know, that in itself leads to extraction from the environment, from the earth. So you're extracting raw materials. So be it cotton, be it fossil fuels for polyester and other materials used to produce fabric. So we keep extracting, taking from the earth. Let's not even talk about water that we use to dye clothes as well. And we are doing that on a large scale basis because the industry needs to keep churning out clothes every now and then. So that is affecting like the resources on the earth. And then when we now produce all of these things, we the consumers, we wear them for a short time, throw them away. Then that's now causing pollution. Apart from like the extractive processes that we are doing, we are not giving the earth like enough time to regenerate itself. We are also then dumping waste on the earth again, emitting like harmful gases into the atmosphere, causing like greenhouse gas emissions and things like that. And now the social aspect of this would be um, would be the people working in the fast fashion industry. So there are people behind these processes. So for every demand for new clothing, for every demand for to look good or to look fresh for every event, so oh, I have these events today, I don't want to wear what I already have. I have these events tomorrow, I don't want to wear what I wore yesterday. For every one of those demands, there are people behind the machine making clothes. Robots don't make clothes yet. Human beings are still the one cutting, they are still the ones sewing, they are still the ones packaging and all of those things. And these guys, they are being underpaid. So we like to talk about, people in other global southern countries like Bangladesh, like places in China, like India, but where there are big factories, and even now in Africa, places in East Africa, where there are big factories, big manufacturing, clothing manufacturing factories, we see that these guys are underpaid, they are overworked. And just maybe last month, a fire broke out in one of like the Bangladeshi factories, which is becoming kind of like a what was it called, a identification for Bangladesh factories, because something happened in 2013, the Rana Plaza that collapsed, killed over 1,000 fashion garment workers. And just last month, there was also a fire in another factory in Bangladesh and things like that. So the workers behind the industry, they are being underpaid, overworked rather, because they have to keep churning out. And the fashion companies that are selling products, they want to sell at a like cheap rate so that people can buy, and they can sell out, restock. So of course they are not paying the fashion workers the right wages. And even the profits that they are making is going to like the people who just cover the shots, who are not really doing the work. And then we now come down to Africa, where we also have fashion, we have factories, even if it's just, for instance, in Nigeria, even if it's just maybe servicing just few fashion companies within the country, and maybe for diaspora, maybe a few Nigerians in other parts of the world who also run fashion businesses and then make their productions at home. We also see it in a way in which some workers are underpaid, and not just people that stay on the machine sewing, even people in like the administrative processes. So like people like the social media manager, like the receptionist, like the customer care service. Some of them, not there are a lot of fashion industries that are doing well, but there are some that are also like underpaying, their workers. And so there is that. And then there is the aspect of waste colonialism, where all of these clothes that they wear once, throw away from other parts of the world, they dump it in Africa, and which we call okrika or thrift here. And while it is good because it helps people that cannot afford like new clothing to, buy clothes that are still good that they can wear, it also, in fact, serves as a means of livelihood for the people that run thrift businesses. In a sense, it also constitutes pollution because they can't sell everything that comes in, because not all of the clothes that come in from like the global north is good. Some of them are very terrible. Just like a few days ago, someone from one of the thrift sellers from Ghana under the All Foundation, they made a video and she was saying, look at these clothes. Like nobody is buying it from us because it is bad. Like if you want to send us clothes, make sure that you're sending good clothes. Don't send us rags, because we also know like good things in this part of the world as well. And you can see, like, if you search for Kantamanto markets, like you will see that heaps of clothing, you will see the clothes in water, and even in Nigeria, yeah, we have the Katangwa markets, I think in Lagos as well. And you see clothes that they don't like, they burn it, the ones that they can't sell. So that's just some of like the problems, fashion and social perspective.
From everything you've said, we can see that the cost of fast fashion is a whole lot. It's the environmental impact is there, the social impact on people is there, from workers being paid low wages to heaps of waste, the thrift one. I've seen videos from the Kantakato market in Ghana, and some of these clothes, like you've said, really aren't buyable by anybody. Nobody can rewear these clothes, and we just keep churning out a whole lot. And I feel like we as a people, we are part of the problem, because everybody wants to wear the trending clothes, everybody wants to style something trendy, or some people want to just wear one clothes one time and let it be that I'm not wearing it again. I'm the it babe and only rewear my clothes once and I don't wear it anymore. And the cost, we can see it in the environment and even on the people that are producing these clothes. So Ada, as a slow fashion creator, you've built a platform around intentional dressing and rewearing clothes. Why is that message so important to the world today?
Okay. If I didn't know anything 10 years back, 20 years back, now I know for a fact that we now live in a world and in a time where fashion trends move very, very quickly. Fast fashion is on the rise, and because we're now in the era of social media, content creation, influencing, there's a lot of pressure to constantly buy something new from things we see online, from fashion influencers, So because of that alone, I feel like the message of slow fashion, the message of intentional dressing, the message of constantly restyling and rewear your clothes is important now. If it was not important then, it's very much important now. And I also want to say something about intentional dressing. I feel like intentional dressing is much more than, I feel like fashion in itself should be much more than just, the price tags. It should be much more than just buying clothes because other people are buying. I feel like it should be more intentional. There's something called intentional dressing. There's something called slow fashion, and this reminds us of the value of clothes, the memories that these clothes hold. You know, I know that before we used to find pride, we used to find so much joy, when our mothers, our grandmothers passed down their clothes to us. But I wrote it's actually very important because of all of the things I've said. Rewearing your clothes, restyling your clothes also even talks about creativity. It sheds more light on creativity, much more than just buying new things every time. The fact that you can wear your clothes in multiple ways, in different occasions, just speaks to all of your creativity. So this message is very important. If it was not important before, it's very much important now.
You agree with everything that you've said. And we as a people, we really need to, take a step back and look at our decision and the choices that we've made, from intentional dressing to slow fashion. It's okay to rewear your clothes. It's okay. I don't think you bought it with your money, so I don't see why you shouldn't be able to rewear your clothes because you just want to follow a trend. So yes, everything that you've said just hits the nail on the head correctly. Ikeoluwa, your initiative UpTote gives waste a second life. Tell us how this idea started and what makes it unique.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. So UpTotes is a fashion accessories brand, and we upcycle. That is, we take fabric leftovers, fabric scraps from fashion houses, and we turn them into fashion accessories like earrings, like what I currently have on, and bags and other accessories. So this idea started. I got this idea in 2022. So I have a background in fashion design fabrics, and whenever we had new projects and maybe there were some leftovers that could work for the new project, she would send us to go search for like the corresponding or like the fabric that would match from like that bag or several bags of scraps. So that was like kind of like my experience, one of my experiences, learning about tailoring. And so fast forward to when I started to work in as a social media manager, I worked with a resale brand, a fashion resale brand. So they resell thrift clothing and also clothing like among not just imported thrifts, but thrifts within Nigeria as well. Like, so if I have a clothes, you have a clothes, you no longer wear them, they help you sell it. So I started working with them and I began to learn more about sustainable fashion, about textile waste, pollution and all of these things. So I was like, okay, I could also do something with the knowledge I have. Meanwhile, before then, I'd been doing bespoke clothing. I'll make clothes for people, even started like a bit of ready to wear. And so I was like, okay, I have these skills, I have these fabric scraps. Why not just use them to create something new instead of throwing them away or having them, just lying fallow. So that's why I started UpTotes and we began to make earrings, bags, and surprisingly, people actually like them because I was thinking maybe nobody might really want to get something that is made from like fabric scraps, but people really love them. And now we are on a mission to, apart from, reducing environmental pollution, reducing textile waste by partnering with fashion houses, collecting their textile scraps, like, oh, don't throw it away, give it to us, we would make use of them, buying from them in some cases. Apart from that, we are also trying to use our products, to help women, feel most confident, feel beautiful, to help them like feel like themselves and just encourage them. And so that is kind of like our mission at UpTote. So kind of like sustainability for the environment and also for like our customers as well, like the sustenance of like their livelihoods in the way that they feel really good about themselves. And yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I've seen the unique pieces you create with UpThoughts. They are actually very beautiful. So definitely people would love them. And I can see the new collection that you just released, the bags. They are really, really beautiful. We are lucky to have people like you that see problems in the
Thank you.
community and decide to take action about it, seeing textile waste and thinking, what can I do with this? And actually starting something out of that. You've also started a community called Upwork that brings together sustainable fashion professionals across Africa. What exactly is the goal here?
Okay, so I started UpNetwork, sustainable fashion, started creating like text this is and just seeking some other professional pathways in the sustainable fashion niche of the fashion industry. There wasn't really much people that were doing the same things like in this part of the world in Nigeria that I could look up. So there were so many like references abroad, like in Europe, in America, there were so many references, but in Nigeria there wasn't so much reference. So I had to like kind of like just like figure it out on the go. And doing that, people used to then message me later on to say, "Oh my God, I had these similar ideas. I also wanted to do something with textile waste. So I want to do something in sustainable fashion, but I didn't know how to get started. I don't know how to go about it and things like that." So I was like, "Okay, you know what? I've also been in this shoe, so let's start a community. Everybody can come together. You can learn, you can network, you can connect, you can collaborate. And so you don't feel alone. You don't feel like, oh, but nobody's doing what I'm doing. So I don't know if it's going to work. You can draw inspiration. You can talk to people in the community and get ideas, and it's also a place to like get opportunities as well. I believe that if we come together like as some of like a union, not really a union, but like if we come together as a community, we can then begin to to seek for opportunities, to get opportunities, and even just collaborate to make things happen. So that is what Up Network is about.
It's nice that you've created a community because obviously everybody needs a community that can help them grow and also, feel like family. The loneliness in starting something and, you feel like there's nobody out there that is doing what you're doing. You have to figure it all alone. It's not something that is easy. You started by yourself and, you didn't have this community and you've created one. For fashion professionals, people that are into sustainable fashion that would love to learn and have somewhere, a family to network, connect, opportunities. It's just lovely that you've created this platform and what you're doing with Up Network is really lovely. I hope more people can emulate you and do things like this and also create a community for other people that are into different industries like that. So Ada, you often talk about slow fashion as self-care. What exactly do you mean by that?
Okay. So for me, slow fashion is self-care in the sense that it invites you to take a break, to really pause and ask yourself, you know, will this clothes actually feel good? As much as it will look good on me, will I feel good in this clothes? I feel like self-care is about taking care of yourself, yes? And with slow fashion, you can take care of yourself, even with the clothes that you wear. It's not even about looking good, it's also about feeling good. You also take a step back and introspect. Is it introspect or retrospect? You ask yourself some basic questions, deep questions actually. They're not just so basic. Like, how will this clothes look on me? How will I feel in these clothes? Much more than the price. Is this really valuable? Can it stand the test of time? Can I always wear it and rewear it every now and then? So all of these questions, all of these things that slow fashion helps you do is all form of self-care. If you are buying a cloth that is made up of fabric that is not good on your skin or does not make you feel good, you know, you are not practicing self-care. But if you are doing the latter, if you are buying clothes that make you feel good, then you are practicing self-care. So that's why I feel like slow fashion is also a form of self-care.
Thank you very much for sharing, Ada. There's actually a research that shows that, polyester materials release tons of microplastic, and we've all seen what is going on in the industry. We've seen how publications are coming out of how humans have microplastics everywhere in their body. And like you said, self-care and slow fashion goes hand in hand. Wearing breathable materials like cotton that you can rewear and rewear is something that is not only good for your body, it's also good for the environment. It's something that we all should, try to look into. We should not just be chasing trends and, not looking at the materials we actually need, that our body actually wants. So yeah, I agree with you. Slow fashion and self-care, it both goes hand in hand. So let's look ahead. What does a truly sustainable African fashion industry looks like to each of you? I'll start first with you, Ada.
Okay. So a truly sustainable industry in Africa would be one that practices sustainability to the core, not just by mouth or not just because it is trendy or that's the boss word. You know, I want that if you are a sustainable fashion brand, or if you say you are in the sustainable fashion industry, you are really sustainable. You pay your workers very good amount of salary. You don't pay them meager salaries. you know the fabrics that you use, do you go all the way to be really intentional about the fabrics that you use? Are your clothes really really durable and of good quality? I see many people complain about fashion brands in this country and how these clothes are not even up to standard, but they charge high. So if you are really sustainable fashion brand, or if you say you work in the sustainable fashion industry, I just want more sustainable fashion brands to be also open about their production, their processes, carry everyone along in your story. So that is what I would love to see in the African sustainable fashion industry. And that's, if we're not there yet, I think that in some years to come we should be able to, get to that place.
Thank you very much for sharing, Ada. I actually agree with you. If you claim to be a sustainable fashion brand, we should know your materials, where you're sourcing them from. How you're even treating your workers is also very important, because that's the social aspect of claiming to be a sustainable brand. You cannot come here and tell us you're a sustainable brand and you use low quality materials, and once we wear your clothes, we can't rewear it, we can't reuse it. You pay your salary, your staffs meager salaries, which doesn't, cut the cost of what they have produced. So Ikeoluwa, I would like to hear from you.
Okay, so looking forward, I think a truly sustainable fashion industry in Africa would look like going back to our roots, because I believe that historically or indigenously we've always been like sustainable, like our dress practices, the way we produced clothing in Africa. So for instance, look at the Adire before they introduced like chemical dyes and all of those things. So they used cotton, they used dye from plants, like, and so I could go on and on about like the different practices that we've had in Africa. So I think brands need to we need to go back to our roots. And then of course with the help of technology now. So I can't say, oh, go back to like traditional things if it's not going to like help your processes, or if it's edge of sustainability that we had, that our ancestors had, and then bringing the technology that we have right now and bringing those two together, I think that is going to help brands be truly sustainable. In addition to what everything that has said, durability, going the extra mile to make sure that you are paying your workers well and all of those other things. So that is what I think. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing. Yeah, going back to our roots and combining technology, because we've advanced, and we can make things much more easier and beautiful with everything that the world is doing today. Most of these companies actually have to look at how we can go back to our roots and combine technology to make more sustainable products and not just focus only on profit. What we've all shared here today is actually very beautiful and insightful. Sustainability isn't just a fashion trend, it's a cultural resonance. Quick fact. Thank you, Ikeoluwa and Ada, for sharing your wisdom and your creativity. You've reminded us that fashion has power not just to express who we are, but to protect where we live. To our viewers, it's your turn. Before you buy something new, ask yourself, can I restyle, repair, or rewear what I've already owned? Let's make sustainability the new style statement. Until next time, stay rooted, keep it green. Bye for now.